hope your day is going well. Man, it's getting closer to my mom's birthday, and she's just been on my mind a lot lately. So I'm just thinking, hey, let's just visit this place and let's talk about some things because maybe you're going through the same thing too, and maybe it'll help you. So I'm sitting there today with my grandson, and I took him out to breakfast, and I'm just thinking how amazing that was, just to be able to sit with my grandson, watch him put jelly on his pancakes, and then just cut his pancakes, just all those little crazy things. And it popped in my head that my mom really didn't get to do that with my kids. She didn't get to take them places. Yeah, she got to spend time with my older kids, but it was never really taking them anywhere. It was always at her house. And then I got to thinking too, like, the things I miss, you know? I don't know if I really miss a relationship with my mom because really, I don't know if I ever had that relationship like you would have with your mom. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a part that I miss because I don't know if I had that part. I don't remember. I don't know. I know. You know, I know that the part that I miss uh is being able to call my mom. Like maybe I just needed to talk to her for a minute. And maybe I was starting to develop that relationship, like a mother-daughter relationship, um, like the relationship that I have with my daughter. Maybe I was starting to get there with my mom. Um, I don't know, but I remember when my mom, she'd been sick for a long time. And there was a moment when she finally decided to go to the hospital. And, it ate me up for a long time because I always wanted my mom to go to the hospital. And I always wanted to know what was wrong with her. And I always wanted her to get help. Um, but I couldn't make her, you know? I couldn't make her do those things. So when I went to the hospital with her the one day and she's sitting there and they asked her, they said, how do you feel today? And she's like, you know how like toenail fungus or some commercial that was on, how this little creature was underneath this toe and it was just creating all this havoc and it just couldn't leave or anything. And she's like, you know how bad that feels? She's like, that's how I'm feeling right now. And I just kind of looked and I was like, hmm, at least she told somebody how she's feeling, you know, because she never was honest with me and didn't tell me. So, I mean, I didn't know. I was like, hey, this could be a step. So then, later, when I went back to the doctor with my mom, and it could have been that same visit. I don't remember. And it came in, and they said, she said, okay, well, just give it to me. What's wrong? And I'm pretty sure my mom had known for a very, very long time that she was sick. And to the point of how far sick she was, that there was no coming back from this. That basically you're just going to accept where you're at and you're just going to be comfortable for the rest of however long you have here, you know? So I'm pretty sure that's where she'd been at for quite a long time. So I don't know if you have someone in your life that maybe is going through that, or maybe you feel like you just want something for someone so bad, but they don't want it, or maybe they're scared and they can't do it. And so you don't understand, you just don't understand. I mean, I was at that spot with my mom for for a long time. And I didn't understand that part. And I didn't really know like what was going on. And I wanted to do so much. Like I wanted to do so much, but I know that she couldn't. So it was at this doctor's visit that sorry, I'm like gonna try and keep it together. But it was at this doctor's visit that the doctor came in the room and he said, okay, he said, you've got stage 4 lung disease. And I just kind of looked at my mom, and my mom looked at the doctor, and I looked at the doctor and I said, okay, what does this mean? You know, what does this mean? And he went to open his mouth and he went to tell me, and the look that my mom gave him was like he needed to be quiet, and he needed to be quiet right then. And that's what he did. He didn't say one other word. He didn't tell me anything. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you serious? Like, I need to know what all this means. Like, I need to be able to process this, you know? So I remember my mom was silent. Like, she wouldn't say a word to me about what it meant or anything like that. So when I got home, I called my grandma and I said, hey, grandma, you know, like, I just took mom to the doctor, and the doctor said that she has stage 4 lung disease. And so immediately my grandma starts breaking down crying. And I'm like, okay, can somebody get it together? Can somebody just fill me in on what's going on? Because here I am, the daughter who is knows deep down inside, like, that that mom is going to die and there's nothing that I can do. But I just need someone to talk to me. Like, I just need someone to tell me what's going on. Like, all this time I've been kept in the dark. And just somebody fill me in. Let me know what's going on. You know? This is really going to affect me and my kids and everyone. So grandma was crying, and I told her, I said, Grandma, I said, I need you to get it together. Like, can you explain to me what this means? Like, I need to know what this means. Why are you crying? So grandma was like, okay, well, I have to come up there and I need to take care of your mom, and I just need to be there. And I'm like, Grandma, that's cool, but can you tell me what's going on? Like, can you just put me in the loop of all this? And so then grandma tells me, she's like, Cassie, um, like, it's not good. It means that your mom doesn't have that much time. And so at the doctors, they were like, okay, well, we're gonna get your mom on hospice, and they're gonna call you, and we're gonna go through these things. And still, you know, nobody was telling me what was going on. So I tell grandma, I'm like, well, grandma, they said hospice was involved, you know, like they're going to get hospice and come out there and be with mom and this and that. But they explained it like they're going to help her do her dishes, help her do things. And I just think it's cool because she needs someone she can talk to. Well, then grandma was crying even more, you know? I didn't know full blown like what hospice was. Like, I didn't know that they call hospice when there's nothing else that they could do. I didn't know that this is how everything was going to be, you know? I didn't know what was going on. So they we get in touch with and at this time, you know, my mom still wouldn't tell me what was going on. She just wouldn't. I don't know if it was maybe that she was trying to keep me protected in her eyes, you know? Or maybe she was trying to keep me safe. I don't I don't know. I don't know like what any of that meant. You know, I don't know how she was feeling. maybe she was coming to terms with everything also, you know? So I don't know. Maybe you're going through that. Maybe someone you know is going through that, and maybe they don't know what to do. And so they kind of push everyone around them out of the way, you know? So we got hospice involved, and it was great. You know, they came over, they helped my mom with things, did everything, and then I remember mom, she kept getting worse. And I didn't want to see it. You know, like deep down, I did not want to see it. I knew it. I knew it in my heart that she was getting worse, but I just couldn't face it. Like, I just couldn't face it at all. So, I remember on Mother's Day when I was like, you know what? I need to start this Mother's Day tradition with my mom because really, this is probably going to be the last Mother's Day that I'm ever going to have with her. And while I hated telling myself that, I had to. Like, it was my dose of reality, you know? And through the years, my mom had done so much for me. Like, she really did. And I had, like, the most awesome childhood. Everything was awesome, you know? And I needed to tell her that because I don't think that I ever told her how much, like, that I appreciated her and everything that she had ever done for me and my kids and my brother and sisters. And I don't think I ever did. So I had to do this. So I sat down one day and I wrote her a 4-page appreciation letter. And I told her, and the reason why I did this was because a year or so before that, when my dad had came to live with me, and then he went back to his house, and I wrote him a letter. And after I wrote that letter, I put it in a drawer, and I never gave it to my dad. And my dad ended up passing away, and he never knew some of the stuff that was in that letter. You know, like, I didn't get a chance to tell him those things. So I was bound and determined to write this letter. And I was determined to give it to my mom, no matter how painful it was, and no matter how much it hurt me, because my mom needed to know how much I appreciated her and how much I loved her and how much I thanked her for doing everything for me. And she needed to know that when she was ready to go, when she couldn't take the pain anymore, and when she was tired of suffering, she needed to know that I was okay with that. I was okay with her letting go. And I was okay that it would hurt, but I needed to think about her and do what was best for her, and that I would be okay. And my brothers and my sister and my kids, like, we would be okay, you know. And I didn't need her to worry, and I didn't need her to stress. I just wanted what was best for my mom. So I sat down and I wrote her that letter, just crying. I mean, every single page was like tear stained, you know? It was just like, it took me forever to get through. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I do not want to do this. So I did it. And then I went and, my mom wasn't really like a flowers person, but I decided, that I was going to get her some roses. So I went and I got her a dozen roses, and I took them to her and I gave her the roses and I gave her the card or the letter I wrote, and she wanted to read it when I was around her. And I was like, no, like, I can't do that. I need you to read it when I leave. I need to leave and you need to read it then. Because see, I never saw an emotional side of my mom. I never saw my mom was caring. She was very, very caring. She would do anything for anyone. But when it came to emotions, the only thing I ever saw was my mom yelling. I don't think she never really said, I love you. She wasn't a hugger. She was just like tough. I mean, she grew up with 4 brothers, you know? So I never really saw that side of her until like I had to see that side of her. So after I did that and I gave her the letter and it was all cool and then when I found out I was pregnant with my son, I told my mom and it's like she just got this other bit of energy and bit of life. There was like something that she could live for again. She can live for her kids. She couldn't do any of that, but she just got this pep of energy. And she was so excited. Like her grandkids were everything to her. Everything. So, so all it was good, but we knew that she was deteriorating. And even though she wouldn't show it, she was going. So we had like our last Christmas together. And I remember I was probably 7 months pregnant or so. And my mom had a couple episodes before that of where she basically, we called them episodes, to where she was out of it. And each time it just got worse and worse. And as an adult, even though I didn't want to accept that, I knew what that meant, like she's getting closer and closer to dying. But how do you shield your younger brother and sister from all of that? From something so painful that as an adult, it affects you in a certain way, but you're trying to protect the kids around you. Because some things, like, you don't want kids to experience because you don't even want to experience them. So in that moment, I could understand how my mom was trying to protect me. Like it just clicked, It all just clicked. So that Christmas, we it was our last Christmas and we knew it was going to be our last Christmas. So we invited everyone over. And as my friend was leaving, and she said bye to my mom, and my mom said, hey, bye. I'm glad you get to see me before I die. And my friend was kind of taken back, and she's like, wait a minute. And I looked at her and I'm like, she knows. She knows that this is her last Christmas, and she just wants to make sure that you're okay, because she's not going to see you again. And man, that was such a hard pill to swallow, because this person that's dying, they're cool with going, but how do I become cool with it? And even though I'm not cool with it, I have to accept it. Like, I have to accept it for what it is, So how do you do that? So that's what I was trying to do. And I don't know, maybe I was just like numbed out to everything. And I'm thankful that I was pregnant with my son, because that gave me something else to focus on. So the one night when my mom had an episode and it was really bad, and my kids they had friends over, and I got a call from my sister, and she's like, hey sis, this is what's going on with mom. And I'm like, okay. So I'll be over there as soon as I can. And I felt so bad, because how do you leave your minor brother and sister over there to help out? and to basically take care of your mom, you know? I mean, it was so painful for me. I can imagine how painful it was for them, you know? So I go over and I know that this is going to be the end for my mom. Like, this is the end. Everything that was going on with her, this was the end. But how could I tell my brother and sister that this is it, you know? So back to when she had an episode, and she got up to use the restroom, and I she forgot her oxygen in the bathroom, and she came back, and I went and I got her oxygen for her, and she had like a little tank at the end of her bed, and I went to put water in it, you know, and she said, wait a minute, stop. And I was like, okay. And my mom loved her soaps like Young the Restless, As the World Turns, all of that stuff, you know. So she's like, wait a minute. I'm like, okay, mom, cool. So I'm waiting. And she said, your dad's here and he's telling me that he loves me. And I just turn around and I look and I say, okay, mom, as tears start to roll down my face. And I turn this water thing a little bit faster because my dad died a year before that. And I knew that if my mom was seeing my dad, it wasn't going to be much longer and she was going to be gone. So that was after we had the Christmas for her and for all of us, you know. And that was big to her. Christmas was her favorite thing. So it's like all of that just came together for her, and that's how it needed to be. So then she had that episode, and then yeah, a week later is when my sister called me, and it was getting worse. And I knew at that moment, the episode she had then, like, that was it, you know. Her eyes were pinpoint. Um, it was really bad, you know. She was out of it. She was out of it for a lot longer than she'd ever been before. And because of all the signs and what was going on, and when I looked at her body and her breathing and everything, there was nothing else anyone could do. I mean, that's just, her organs were shutting down, you know. I couldn't tell my brother and sister that that's what was going on, you know. I couldn't tell them. I didn't want to keep it from them, but I couldn't tell them. So I remember I told my husband, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna take the kids over to see mom because we need to go over there." Because at this point she wasn't watching my kids anymore for probably about 6 or 7 months before that, because it was just too much and I couldn't I needed to make sure my kids were safe. So I wasn't taking them over there so that she could watch them. And I really felt bad about that because my kids were my mom's world. And to me, if they weren't going over there, then maybe that helped her like deteriorate faster. And those were like the things that I was telling myself in my head. But they just couldn't go over there because she couldn't cook for them. She couldn't get them things to eat, you know. She couldn't take care of them like they needed to be. So I had to make that tough decision. And I know that she understood. So so on this date when I told my husband that I needed to take the kids over there, and he's like, why? And I explained to him, like, this is it. Like, this is gonna be the last time. And we all need to go. So I get the kids and I take them over there. And you know, my kids grew up to where my mom was always sick. So they really didn't know any different. Like, they just knew, they knew that she was sick. That was a normal her. So so it's time we go over there and we're spending time with her, and she's in her bed, and like, she's out of it. She can't talk. I know she can hear us, but she can't talk. She can't do any of that. So me and the kids and my brother and sister, we're all just hanging out and everything. And then it gets real late, and it's probably like 11:30, almost 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, okay, I need to go home because the kids, I need to put the kids to bed. They need to get some sleep. So that was December 30th. And I got home, and we're sitting and we're watching TV all on the couch. And I get this call from my sister, and she's frantic. And she said, "Mom, quit breathing." And I wasn't even thinking, my kids are right next to me. And I said, "She quit breathing." And I said it out loud. Here, I thought I said it in my head, and I said it out loud. And my poor kids just kind of looked and didn't know what to do. And my heart just dropped because here my kids just heard this, and I couldn't take that back. So I told my sister, I said, "Okay, like I'm on my way, you know. Don't call 911, don't do any of that because hospice was involved. Like don't do any of that." Well, it was too late. Someone already called 911. So I get there, and and there's already people at the house, Ambulance is already there, um and I go in the door, and keep in mind I'm like 7 months pregnant. So I walk in the door, and I walk straight back to where my mom is, and I see her just laying there, and she's lifeless, and she had already lost all of her color, and my heart just sank. And I see him trying to revive her. And as the person that was in charge, I knew she didn't want to be revived. Like, she was a DNR. She didn't want that. So I told him, I said, "Stop what you're doing. Like, my mom doesn't want this. Like, I need you to stop. She doesn't want this." And they're like, "Okay, well, where's the paperwork?" Because they have a job to do. You know what I mean? Like, they come there to save a life. That's their job. So they're looking, and there should be something hung up there that says DNR. And I didn't know that. And so I called my husband, and I'm like, "Hey babe, look in this drawer, find this paperwork, and I need this piece of paper. I need them to stop doing this. Like, they got to stop trying to bring my mom back." So as soon as I'm talking to him and telling him, "Hey, I need this paper," then they tell me that that's okay. I don't need it anymore. Like, she was gone, you know? And my heart sunk. Like, I knew she was gone, and I knew she was gone before that. But to hear them say those words, and to hear it to where it would, like, kind of supposed to sink in, but I don't know if it really did sink in. Like, I just went into the mode of, okay, well, what do I need? What do I need to do now? Like, I need to make sure that I tell my husband what happened. Let the kids know I need to stay here. And because the paramedics were called, um, we had to wait for a medical examiner or a doctor to come out. Um, so I had my brother and sister, I had someone take them, had them leave because I did not want them to see anything else. They'd been exposed to too much. So you get there, and the medical examiner, and they all come in, and they, pronounce mom dad, and say that, she's gone. And then I just remember, like, I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to the different policemen and firemen that come, and it's just me. It's just me, nobody but me. And I'm cool with that because I needed those moments. Like, I really needed that time that I don't know if I knew I needed it because I was in straight survival mode. Like, I was just functioning, saying, "Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. Like, what boxes do I need to check?" Because because even though my reality was about to kick in, like now it's here, and now I need to go forward, you know? And there were times like when I was taking care of mom, and I was like, this is so much. Like, this is so much taking care of her, and it is so draining. And I felt so bad afterwards. Like, I seriously felt so bad that I would even think that it was so draining to take care of my own mom when she had taken care of me forever. But I did. Like, that was reality. Those were my feelings, and that's just how I felt, you know? So I had to go through those things. And I guess why I'm telling you all of this is because you may be going through something, and it may be not even close to this, and it may be even worse than this. And you may have to sit back and your hands are tied and you can't do anything, you know? But what you can do is you can comfort the person that's going through it. You can be there for them. You don't even have to talk. You don't have to do anything. Just be there. Just sit by them. Just sit with them. Just hold their hand. Just let them know that you're there. Like, no matter what time, what day, what anything, like, you're there. Because while they're going through stuff, they're in their own world, and they don't know whether they're coming or going. They really don't. So they just need you to show up for them. And that's it. You know, just show up for them. Because it's a whole different world. You know, and so for many years, I don't even remember, I couldn't remember the last words that I ever said to my mom. And I still really, really don't remember. I don't remember our last conversations. I don't remember, I don't remember what her voice sounds like. There are so many things that I don't remember. And I don't know, maybe that's a way to keep me protected. Maybe when I need to remember it, I'll remember it. But when that hits and those things pop up, I think about all the things I do remember. And I smile about those and I laugh about those. Because I stayed in a place for so long of being so angry and bitter that it about took me under. Like, it really did. It was super bad. And so when the moments come up, like now, to where she pops in my head, like, I need to talk about it. And I know you're going to go through these things too, to where you need to talk about it, because when you hold it in, it gets worse. And it's like a snowball. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you know someone that's going through it, just hold their hand. Just be there. Just send them that text. Tell them you're thinking about them. Send them that prayer that you've been wanting to pray for them, but you really don't know what to say. Just send it. Just hit send. Because they'll look at it. They'll read it. They'll appreciate it. And they'll appreciate you. And they'll remember. So in the times when you don't know what to do, and you may think, well, I don't know if I should call them, or I don't know if I should reach out to them. They're probably busy, or they're dealing with this, or they're dealing with that. Just reach out. Just reach out. When they get a minute, they might respond. And if they don't, it's okay. It is okay. Just reach out, because it's all you need to do. You just need to be there. Be the shoulder. Be the ear. Have the box of Kleenex. You know, just be there, because they just need someone in the trenches with them. And in the trenches, just holding on to them and letting them know that it may be painful right now and super painful, but you're going to help them get through it. You know, that's what people need. And so with this time of year approaching, and some days just hit harder than others, you know? And this just happened to be a day for me. When this day hits, this is what I do, because this is how I get through that day. And this is how I know that I can help someone else get through the day that they're having. You can't hold it in, because then you explode. And it turns out really bad and really ugly. It's not good. So just talk about it. And if you have to cry about it, just cry about it. It's okay. If you're around your kids need to see you cry. They need to know it's okay to cry and express emotions. And also, know whatever you're going through may seem like the greatest pain you've ever faced. But on the other side of that pain is beauty. Okay? Never forget that. Not one tear is wasted. No pain is wasted. None of it. There's beauty in it. And you don't see it, and you may not see it for a long time, but don't get stuck in that pain, because that pain will take you under. So talk about it. Write about it. Whatever you need to do, just do it. And it's okay. And if you think it doesn't help you now, maybe it doesn't. But maybe it will down the road. Maybe it will a year from now, when you look back and you're like, man, I've grown. I've grown, because when I look at where I was in that place, it was deep and dark. But now, because I've done this so much farther, you know, that may be where you're at. Or maybe you know somebody who's there. You know, just be you. Just reach out. Just talk. Just cry. Just listen. And then the other part, I guess the most important part is just cry out to Jesus. Just tell him you need help. Tell him you're broken. Tell him you're in pain. Tell him you're hurting. Tell him everything that pops in your head, because he already knows. But just speak it out. Because when you speak it out, it's so much more powerful. And he's right there. He's waiting to grab your hand and to help you through it, because he knows you can't do it by yourself. So just cry out, you know? All right, well, I'm just going to leave you with that, and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.